We are live. The link should be up on the page for you, Spesh.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, this is Brad with Paintball Therapy, having another fantastic group assembled to hear some fantastic stories that go back to essentially the beginning of competitive paintball. I would like to welcome the All-Americans. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And normally how I start the program is asking everyone how they got involved with paintball. So where we should start naturally, I feel, is with Adam. So Adam, how did you get involved in paintball?
We were on spring break actually in Florida. My brother and I had bought some Splat Masters and went and played in some land that we had down there. And when we ran out of paint, we called around to all the stores and found a local shop. But he said, "Don't come at this time because we're running a session." We're like, "What do you mean?" And we found out there were actually groups of people that went and did this. And I think we spent the rest of spring break there, and we were hooked. I think we bought 2 or 3 different guns within a couple weeks, and just really started playing from there.
Do you remember what year that was?
Yeah, probably like 86, 87.
And were you living in Pennsylvania? That's home.
We were in college in Ohio and went down to Florida for spring break.
Okay. That makes sense. And how about you, Todd?
What's that, buddy? What's the question?
How did you start in paintball?
A buddy of mine asked me to go play the ultimate game. I'd already lived in Florida for about 6 years. It was the end of '86 and like November, late in November. And he asked me to go play the ultimate game with him. And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "We're going to run around and shoot each other with paintballs." There's a guy that meets every Sunday. And we got to get there early because he's got the rifle kind or the pistol kind. And we want to get the rifle kind because they got big tanks. And if you use the pistol, you got to use these little cartridges and they suck. So we were there at 7 a.m. This guy rolls in at like 8:30. And we were first in line to get the rifle deals and played our first game then.
Fantastic. Frank?
Pretty much the same thing. I was 12 or 13 years old. I was in 7th grade, coming home on the school bus. Kid next to me had a magazine. I was like, "What's that?" He said, "It's a paintball magazine." I said, "What's paintball?" We started talking. He said, "Why don't you come out this weekend?" So I said, "All right, what do I need?" He said, "Go get some camouflage and some CO2 cartridges." I ran home. I said, "Mom, we're going shopping. Let's go." So I got some CO2 cartridges, some BDUs, went out and played paintball, and I was hooked. The one thing I didn't understand is how everybody could keep on finding me. I was running around the woods, but I had like 10 CO2 cartridges in the left pocket, 10 CO2 cartridges in the right pocket. It was like jingle, 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 jingle. They told me at the end of the day, they said, "You were easy to find. You were hard to shoot because you were fast, but you're easy to find."
12 grams gave you away with the jingle. Hans, how about you?
It was about 1989, 1990. I don't know, I was about 14. And just heard about some people in our town that were playing paintball in the woods kind of outside of town. And it was a large group, 30 people roughly. But it was just pickup, it wasn't a field or anything. And my brother and I joined in with them and started playing. And just got hooked and loved it. And then just started searching around for other fields near us and just kind of kept expanding off of that. So
fantastic. Spesh?
It was right after junior high school, beginning of high school, right around that time, 8th, 9th grade. Actually, only one of my friends had a paintball gun. And we just played survival, it was called. It was pretty much just like tackle/flag football in the woods. And he was the only one with a gun. We used to take prisoners and tie them up and everything, but then it wasn't fun when he was the only guy with a gun. So then we all went out and got Splat Masters, and then we kind of evolved from there. But that was basically the first time that we ever got involved with the paintball marker was one guy had it, and the rest of us kind of ran for our lives, basically it. And then we just eventually all got splat masters and repeats, and some people had the KP3 rifle and different things like that. And we kind of evolved into it from there. But that was my first experience, was just running around tackling people in the woods. To be honest with you, I used to carry a knife and canteen and everything.
Go
Doors.
go all in for sure.
Yeah.
Now that kind of brings us to the history of the All-Americans, brings us back to Adam. So Adam, could you tell me and everyone else how the team actually started?
Yeah, I mean, when we played rec, up at Pinnacle Woods in Ohio,
Okay.
for a while, but then my brother was going to graduate school in Georgia, and that Wolf Slayer kind of came out, and we started reading about the tournament they were going to have, and I played in the first. I think it was like a 20-man, and yeah, that was just crazy fun. And then we found Sergeant York's in Harrisburg and started playing every weekend, and it built out of there. It was Sergeant York's All Americans, and that's where we met Chewy and some of the early guys. There's Flynn and Bud Smart and a bunch of those guys, and we just started playing up at Wolf Square and a number of tournaments and built it from there.
And now, out of the cast that we have here, who was the first to come onto the All-Americans team that you started?
That's a good question. Trying to think of the years. I don't know. Maybe Spesh could answer that better. I mean, I know Frank. What year were you, Frank?
It was
It
me.
was
I
Frank.
came on in 97.
Okay.
97.
Yeah, I came on in 97.
Yeah.
So right after we beat the All-Americans in 5-man at World Cup.
Yeah.
And what team
That
did
was
you
going
come
in.
from?
Excuse me?
What team did you come from?
Jacksonville Warriors out of Florida.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I only
And-
remember that game because Frank was a stupid left-handed person. I didn't know how to shoot lefty yet, so he was really.
I shot 4 of them on the SUP airball field.
Todd, how did you get
He always shoots for it.
into the All-American family?
Spesh reached out to me. It had to be World Cup 2012, 2013, 14. Whenever they started 10-man again. Is that about right?
Yep.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
reached
14.
14. And he reached out and said, hey, listen, you want to play some 10-man? And I said, yeah, I do. I love 10-man. He said, well, I have some guys. It's not all the old guys, but it's, a good group of guys. And we're going to play at World Cup, and it's in your area. So let's put it together, and let's make a team and play there. And we did. I don't know if that was the first year they put the mounds there. I'm not sure, but I don't think it was.
No, it was all SUP air. Yeah.
I wish it had been about 10 years earlier, because if it weren't for that jerk, the All A's would have won a heck of a lot more World Cups. Todd totally robbed us from. So, yeah.
Yeah, I gave you a taste, Adam, right in the fucking diamond.
Yeah.
All the way from the back corner.
I remember, you lucky bastard.
Rather be lucky than good any day.
Yeah.
Yes. Hans, a couple of questions for you. One, you've been there. How long has your history been with the team? Let's start there.
Snack and I got on the team, I think, in 98, Frank?
Yeah.
Or 99.
Yeah, year after.
Yeah, so Snack and I played on Always 2 prior to that. So 98. And then I retired at the beginning of 01 when my first daughter was born. So didn't have too long of a playing career, honestly.
Right. But you've been basically a member of the organization for the entire run and the stretch from 10-man to the modern game, then back to 10-man.
Yes.
I guess I'm going to
Let
talk to
me
both you.
back there for a second, because Hans was a great story, because he was playing on his own, and he bought a rifle barrel from us, and like 6 months later,
Adam, they're not asking that story.
they're asking that story. Like 6 months later, he sends it back with this 2-page essay as to why he should get a refund. And then, I remembered his name because there aren't many Himmelsbergers out there in the world. And then I don't know whether it was 6 months or a year later, he came to Smart Parts and wanted a job. And I said, I'm going to hire this bastard because he was such a picky pain in the ass. He's going to be great. And at the very least, we can get even. And he's been there ever since. So.
All right. I'm going to correct that story. Adam sent me a defective part. I complained, which I had a right to. So that's the short story. So, and that's the correct one. But anyways.
I love it. I love it all. Spesh, why don't you tell me how you came into the group?
My story is a little bit more eccentric, I guess, in a sense, because I kind of started off with some local teams up in Erie, Pennsylvania, and I knew the All-Americans were out of Latrobe, and through the Smart Parts calendar and the catalogs that they had and everything that they put together and everything, I knew they weren't too far away from me. And so one day I was just tired of playing with the team I was playing with, and I called up Smart Parts. This was in 1992. I just graduated from high school, and talked to Billy Gardner. And I asked him how I could try out for the All-Americans, and he says, write me a letter. Tell me exactly what you want from paintball, what you're looking to get out of it, and a little bit about yourself, and send it to me. So this is probably like June or July of 92. And then so I write a letter. I don't remember what I wrote, but I sent it to him. He gets it. I come home one day. This was right after Thanksgiving in November. And I run upstairs, get the phone, and it's Billy Gardner on the phone. I'm like all excited. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you want to come play in a 5-man tournament this weekend up in Michigan? And I'm like, of course. He's like, we'll use it as your tryout. Just show up. You don't have to pay for anything. We'll give you everything you need. Can you be down at the Cranberry Turnpike at 5 p.m. on Friday, and we'll pick you up? We'll be in a red Mercedes. And I'm like, okay. So I had a buddy of mine drive me down to the Turnpike, an hour and 20 minutes from my house. And I'm standing there with a duffel bag in my hand looking for a red Mercedes to come through the Turnpike with Billy Gardner and some other guy I've never met. And I'm 19 years old standing there like a homeless person, waiting for Billy Gardner, the captain of the All-Americans, owner of Smart Parts, to pick me up. I knew what he looked like because he had been in the magazines and the catalog and everything. And sure enough, there he was. He picked me up. And then eventually we went to the 5-man tournament in Michigan. We won first place. He invited me to come and be a part of their practice squad. They didn't practice in the wintertime, but then they started up again in '93. We went to Maryland to practice. That's where Tommy and Richie and Greg and the rest of the team was, and it was a little bit warmer, so they practiced down there. And I did that for about 6 months, and then that's when they brought Graham from Europe over in '93, and it just didn't seem like I was going to get my shot as playing on the team, so I kind of took a break from paintball for a few years, moved to Missouri, played with the Missouri Magic, came back in '97, got on All A's 2, eventually went to OBR a couple of years, and then came back to the All A's in 2001 with Hans and Snack. So it was kind of a roundabout trip.
Now, we have a question here from Mark. I'm sure that Adam has the answer to this. He wanted to know how many stars ended up on the trailer.
There's a lot. We actually recreated that trailer in our new building, so it looks like a full replica of the one. But I'm trying to think of what year. I think that only went through like '97, but there were at least 50 on there, I believe, and there were probably more than that afterwards. But the truck that it was on kind of died.
Right. From all those traveling miles. Frank couldn't have unmuted his button quick enough on that question. So, Frank, do you have anything to add to
No,
this?
no, I really don't. There was a lot
Okay.
of them. Just
Okay.
like Adam said, there was a lot of stars on that truck.
Absolutely.
The funny part is Adam sold that truck on eBay. He was so pissed off. I got to tell this story. We called it Big Green. It was sitting out back of Smart Parts forever. It's like, oh, this thing don't work. He puts it on eBay. Some guy spends a couple grand. He pulls up. He's like, I don't even know if it works. He goes in, puts the battery in it, starts it, and drives away. Adam was like, son of a bitch.
It still needed a bunch of work, but I was very surprised that it actually sold and what we got for it. So
Right. That's fantastic. Turtles shouting out right here. So now,
That's how I met Turtle back in 93, 94.
really,
He was there when I made the practice squad. You know?
well, now here's a big question that I have, because all of the players in the room have had experience with the classic style of play and airball. I think probably you guys have your own opinion of classic or airball, and some people like both. If given a chance to choose a format of what you would play, what would it be? And I'll start with Spesh. What would it be, Spesh?
I like the 10-man format. It's always felt more as a team type camaraderie together, a little bit more strategy, and a little bit more field prepping, a little bit more knowledge behind the game. It was always a little bit more, a little bit more science behind it. Whereas when I played, I liked X-Ball. I really liked playing with Philly when we first started. It just got so repetitive that it lost that feeling of uniqueness that we used to have going to places like Las Vegas and Orlando and playing those unique types of fields. I remember looking in those magazines and always wanting to go to those places because it was always somewhere you couldn't go in your own backyard. And
Right.
I remember in 2007, sitting in the airport in LA after the LA NXL event, I was just like, this isn't fun. I just played this field for weeks on end, and we played the same thing in LA. It just became so repetitive that unique feeling wasn't there anymore. And that was what was always fun about 10-man. It was something that you could do. It's more like a story, you know what I mean, where you have a story to tell. I can remember fields from 97 in Portland and 98 in World Cup, but I don't remember any NXL real layouts or anything special or unique. I remember events won, but I don't remember anything specific or unique about it because you're not really taking a piece of that climate, a piece of that environment or that city home with you when you leave those fields. And when you play 10-man, you do, but with X-Ball, you lose that.
Right. Well said. Hans, how about you?
Well, airball is just a lot more controlled experience. There's not too much variety to it. Whereas when you get into 10-man, especially woods ball, everywhere you go is different. Every field is totally different. And there's just a lot more, the experiences you have are just, there's just so many different experiences you can have on a woods ball field. And it's even multiple woods ball fields at one event. Whereas airball, it's pretty controlled and limited to what you're going to experience at an event, kind of anywhere, and especially fields at just at one event. And just the atmosphere. It's nicer just if you're going to be outside on a weekend, it's just more enjoyable to be out in a wooded area, I think, than it is just out in the field with some inflatable bunkers all around. I like playing airball, but the atmosphere and the experience and the camaraderie of 10-man is just so much more than what airball has to offer. But I've played them both, and I like them.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's people are going to leave an event with, I think, just a much better experience at a classic woods ball 10-man event than they would at any airball event. So.
Yep. Frank, how about you?
Well, I played through it all, and I have to say, the 10-man in the woods is, the bread and butter of paintball. For it's what it's all about. It's what we grown to love and what we care about the most. In my eyes, it's just like Special was saying. You know, we did the NXL, we won the World Championships, we've done it over and over and over again. It's like Adam would come out with a skid of paint and said, "This we have to shoot this whole skid of paint before we go home." And it's like, that's no fun. We just sat there and ran drills and ran to the same spot, and people just ran to the corner and I shot them. They ran to the corner, I shot them. They ran to the corner, I shot them. It's just the same thing over and over and over again, where every game in the woods is totally different. You can never have the same game twice, where I guarantee X-ball games, everybody ran to the same 5 bunkers. Everybody shot this way. Everybody did this. It's all the same. So I don't know. I love the 10-man. So it's what paintball should be, what it should be based totally on. And it's a way to bring more people into the sport because it's a lot more funner than the crazy X-ball stuff.
Adam, your opinion?
Yeah, I have a different take on it. I mean, fortunately, I was able to play through all of it, whether it be, starting in the woods and doing the Knoxville indoors and the Sky Domes and the 7-man and the
Who won that, Adam?
woods, all that stuff. And I think there was a reason that the sport evolved to X-ball and to the NXL, and some of it was the size of the tournaments and the amount of players. They just couldn't get large enough undos. Some of it had to do with the refereeing and the rules and the other things some people did out there. And, so that's kind of where the sport got. And I think they all have their place. I think the mistake as an industry that we made was trying to take what was the most like a professional sport, where it's an equal playing field for everybody. Everything's the same. The time's the same. And now you're honing in on the minute differences to try to win the highest level of skill and running and shooting and strategy at that level, and put that on, make everybody play that. I mean, the local field owner people, they don't want to do that. They want to go and feel the adrenaline of hiding in the woods and having someone sneak out and letting them get in the open and shoot them and things like that. So, I think they all have their place. Certainly, the kids who play today may think X-ball is fantastic. I think probably the funnest is the 10-man woods ball with the learning the fields and figuring out a strategy based on, all the terrain and the trees and all that stuff. But, I kind of like them all. I just think, they have their place, and certainly every style is not for every player.
Absolutely. Todd, how about you?
No, I mean, unlike Adam, who was the only one that said something stupid, 10-man's where it's at. You know what I mean? It evolved. Paintball evolved, but Adam is right. It gives, when we transition to try to make it more of a sport, more of a uniform game and controlled, and what basically Adam said, it's not for everybody, right? So, there are scenario players that are out there, that thousands and hundreds of thousands of players that played scenario paintball in the woods in different formats that never have played a 10-man game. When we started, it was 15-man. It went to 10-man. It just shrunk a little bit. Then it jumped to 7-man, and it got controlled with the air ball and the evolution of air ball, bringing it a netted concept where you can watch. Everybody can just sit and watch it, right, and see what's going on and see the moves. But at the same time, squeezing it down into those, it inhibits a lot of the moving, right? So right. I had to adapt. I liked big open fields, different, a 10-man field out in the middle of the woods that you just ribbon off, 3 or 4 acres worth, and you played 10 on 10 like New York style fields. Look, one side's got all kinds of cool shit. The other side might not have anything, Comes down to a point how some have good big giant trees and good spots. The other one's got a Civil War wall, running across one side. There were so many aspects, and that goes back to what Spesh said, I think, about traveling to different cities and different places, or somebody said that. And, the different aspects of the game. I always wished, and I spoke to many people in paintball, and I had manufactured and was a producer of paintball products back in the day with my wife Tammy. That they never could get it to where we had a World Cup and a world class, world's largest. They called it a couple of different things, right? A big scenario game or a big game now that it's more commonly called, and had it all at one time. The vendors of paintball that manufactured the pro athlete sport paintballers at one setting, the recreational scenario guys with some friends and a dad and kids, all at the same venue at the same time, would have been like something that would have never happened. And as far as I know, it's never happened at any kind of paintball event. But they're just to go along with Adam's also about we really tried to make paintball into into the limelight, right? You can't visibly take woods everywhere and make it a sport. You've got baseball, soccer, football. They tried really hard to do the best in the best direction that they thought they could go for the game,
Right.
and bring it out mainstream. And correct
woods,
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, I like to outsmart other people. I like, a mass amount of chaos. My dog keeps jacking on me. A mass amount of chaos to happen, and a lot of people for a lot of different things to happen. It creates opportunities, and you can play on your heels, and then you can attack. So that's what enticed me. I hadn't played in quite a long, minimum 5-6 years. When I think I'd played just before Spesh asked me, maybe the previous year or two, when Tommy had the UWL at the World Cup site. It was Fantasy of Flight. It was the last year Bob Long, and they had it only 5-man, and it was at the World Cup at the same time. And we threw together a team, and I'm pretty sure it was Oliver, it was Bruno, it was Billy, myself. If I'm missing a couple, I'm missing a couple because that's old. But we played it for fun and just crushed it.
Right.
They just crushed it. They were like, "Hey, one person can be the scout, gets to leave 5 or 10 seconds early before the buzzer." I was like, "What are you talking about?"
You were used to that anyway.
Sometimes, Adam. So, but it was, and we won that event, and
right.
that section of that event, and it was awesome, right? So, and then Spesh asked me, and I'd like I said, I was on another deal the other night with Rusty and some of the other guys from the BKI, and if they were all right here, I would go to our local field. I'd call the kid. I'd say, "Hey, open up," and we're fucking in lockdown in this world, so we'll go play each other. It's pretty much social distancing when I got my mask on. I'm not going to, within 6 feet of you, or am I, Adam? And
It's fantastic. Now, here's a question for you, Hans. I know that a lot of people in this room's career is in paintball playing, and some are in paintball and manufacturing. Has doing both of that made you where you need to take a break or sometimes distance yourself from paintball?
Well, before I start into that, for some reason I can't hear Todd at all, so I don't know if there's an issue there, but
okay.
I don't hear anything what Todd's saying, so just FYI.
Okay.
But to answer that question, yeah, at times it does. Anytime I'm at an event playing or just there to watch, but typically I'm either there working or I'm there playing. And if I'm there playing, yeah, anytime somebody has an issue with their gun or equipment, they're
look at that.
And at times it can wear on you. It's especially if we're in a field. I've had it at times where we're in a field practicing and other people see me there, and as soon as I come off the field, they're coming up to me and asking me to fix their guns and stuff like that. And
right,
a lot of times people just they don't realize that you're there trying to have fun, take a break. So, at times it can get to you, and working, doing this all day, every day for as long as I've been doing it. Sometimes it's a getaway when you go to an event. Sometimes it isn't. This kind of depends on which event it is and what it is. But
makes sense. That one slipped by me, Todd. I apologize on that one. Now, the ICC, the ICPL, the Woods Ball World Cup, all of these classic events coming back. The current status of the virus stuff has really put a damper on it. But what events are highlights in the last 2 or 3 years for you guys, because you've all played them? So I will start with Adam and work my way around. Adam, I saw you playing at the ICC. How long has it been? And walk me through that.
I don't even know how long it had been. It'd been a while, but yeah, I mean, the ICC is just awesome. It was a lot of fun. We used to play it. I think it was the UWL or whatever. That was, is that what it was?
No, the SBPL.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the SPPLs were fun. And after that, I hadn't played in a while. But the ICC was just, that was a lot of fun. And my son's, part of it's getting back into him. He's 15 now, so he's starting to have a real interest in playing, and he's gone the last couple of years. We actually played the 5-man together at the ICC this year. So, that's part of what's bringing me back as well. But that's fun. I mean, everything about that, the mounds, fields, the woods ball, all that stuff, just a blast. And seeing all the old guys and still being able to go out there and run around and be able to walk afterwards is a good time.
Absolutely. Spesh, how about you?
Well, like Todd had said, we got I was just kind of sitting on the couch the one day after being gone for 7 years, and I was like, let's get the guys back together, play some 10-man. World Cup's the best setting to do that. So we got Rodney, we got Hans, we got Snack, we had Mark, Frank, Todd, just called out everybody, Tim Jenkins, Eric Dearman, asked everybody to come out and just be a part of World Cup scenario, not take it too serious or whatever, get a big house, just, kind of like a reunion type thing. We ended up taking second, losing to a team that we probably should have never lost to, but we did. We took second. And then it just kind of grew. Every year we added more events. We added World Cup. There was more 10-man events coming out with the Otto Cocker Fight Club guys doing their thing. And then we just got more and more involved, and it just got a little bit more and more serious. And we just kept going with the same core guys like Frank and Todd. And then Hans kind of was in and out, Snack with his family and him being so far away. And we still had Mark and Tim Jenkins. And then it got even more serious. And then there were some teams kind of taking some players away, giving them full rides and stuff like that to play. So then it kind of went to that next level. But the ICC, the ICPLs, I like them all. I like the variety. I like to play again. It's like I said, the unique experience of going to a different field all the time and playing something you can't play and remembering those experiences. But it's all good. We enjoy doing it all. It's just now we're at home. Our next event is supposed to be at the end of May up at Jerry's Field that Kevin Donaldson's hosting. Right. I just talked to him last night, and he said they're working their butts off to try to get it going. As of right now, it's either going to be at the end of May or sometime maybe push back sometime in June possibly. But Jerry's working really hard behind the scenes to get approval, and Kevin's still going out there every weekend and working on fields like as if it's going on. So as of right now, we're going to go to that if we can. And if that's going on, that'll be the first event. And then whatever else comes after that, and hopefully the ICC.
Makes sense. Frank, your opinions?
The best tournaments? I'm sorry.
No, just on how you feel about the new ICPL, ICC playing that in the resurgence of the classic format.
Like I said, I love it. I mean, ICC to me is like a big family reunion. I mean, all these guys that we played against over the years, we hated each other on the field, but off the field, it was a totally different story. And it's just great seeing guys from 10, 15 years ago coming back. And it's a lot of fun. That's what it's all about. It's just seeing old people, old friends and everything. And the ICPL, how do I want to put this? I'm going to say it started off amazing. They now all like the pros are coming into it, so it's making it a little more difficult to compete. But we still put up a good showing, and we don't play every weekend like the pros do. So when they stack the teams against us with 7, 8 pros and then 2 retired guys, it's kind of hard. But I still love it. I mean, it's not about winning or losing right now anymore. It's just about going out and having fun. We've done all the winning, we've done all the losing that we have in our lives, and now it's just being happy and having fun and just living our lives. So I love the ICC though. It's Tim puts on a great event. If you guys haven't been there, that's where you got to go, without a doubt.
From a team perspective, what was a couple of the teams that you guys just didn't like to face in certain eras of paintball? Or were you guys so supremely confident in your ability, as much of the other teams are, that you feared no one, and that either a combination of the referees or bad decisions cost you?
Wow. Well, let's see. In the woods, we didn't want to face Aftershock because we always were worried about them going out of bounds and coming in behind and shooting us.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
I don't think it's alleged.
Yeah. Never wanted to face Avalanche with Richmond on there because we always knew that the referees, if they were sponsored by Draxus, that he would never get pulled out. So we had to worry about that. But
Gold.
But besides that, we didn't care. We felt that we had a good team, and as long as we played like a team, we'd compete against anybody. That's the way I looked at it.
Absolutely. Does anyone else want to jump in on this one?
Yeah, I mean, there were rivalries. I wouldn't say you didn't, you feared playing them, but I mean, there were the battles of, us versus Ironman was always a tough game, and us versus Shock. I mean, it was a different chemistry. The Ironman were like super fast. We didn't necessarily like each other, but we went out and we both played hard, and sometimes they won, sometimes we won. When it was Shock, it was a different type of experience. I mean, we both had a extreme disdain for each other. We both wanted to win, and we're willing to, push it as far as we could. And they were some, those are some of the games you remember this many years later. They were, there was a good rivalry.
Right.
Todd's raising his hand there. I will say this: I didn't like going to Europe in the early days and playing in England against English teams. That's one thing I dreaded because we did not have a chance. What we did or how well we did it, we had no chance whatsoever. But we paid the price early on in the years, and eventually that changed. But there was no way we were going to, I forget the exact places over there, but in the woods with the English, not a chance.
Right. Todd, you have a unique perspective on this whole line of questioning. So why don't you fill me in?
Well, just to answer that one, I would like to say that my favorite tournament was probably Reno. Wouldn't you say, Adam? It was.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Was that the first game where we beat you 99-1, or the second game where we beat you 100-0?
Let's just say that was my favorite place to play paintball.
It was dangerous as hell, but it was fun.
It's very sketchy. It's very dangerous out there. So, and just like Adam said, the big rivalries, playing the all Africans, we would call them, which is no disrespect to Africa by no means, but these guys. So we played these guys, and it would just be, it was rough. You know what I mean? It was rough.
Absolutely.
And, old school Ironman, just like you said, all the big contenders, the heavyweights would slug it out, and you lived for that. I mean, just as Adam God bless him, as old as he is, he's, he can remember the big ones that got away. I can't remember the wins. Like I told Rusty the other night, I can't remember the wins, but I can remember specific events that happened where they, one or two things slipped away. And, I filled up 2 passports traveling early in paintball. Adam and I won together in Australia, and I'd conquered almost every continent that I'd been to except for South America. I would go, and we went 5 times to go play in Brazil and took second 5 times to our single team, which was the host of the event.
We won on there.
And we didn't care. So it was legit, but paintball, just like they were saying, it's
absolutely.
There's nothing. I'd never change a thing, ever. And took the opportunity, because I love Aftershock. That was my team, and I get a lot. Nobody in the world. I mean, I won as much as I had to split seasons. You know what I mean?
Right.
I play ICPL with Aftershock. I won the series title. I won the the last event. Took third or second, whatever it was, by a point or 2 at the first one, and won the 5-man with some of these guys.
Yep.
And it's a mix for me, right? So I'm really been blessed to be able to play with almost all the people I've ever wanted to play or play against. You know what I mean? And been very fortunate with paintball, and there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
Absolutely. Hey, Spesh, I know you have something to say about this.
We're looking at Joe Biden.
Wake up.
What part?
Well, yeah, the big thing is, or what we're talking about, teams that you liked to play for or play against, get up for.
Any team that stepped across the field. I mean, I always wanted to play against the better teams, and show your best, best performance against those top teams. Aftershock, Avalanche, Ironman. I mean, you couldn't take any of those teams lightly. Even the top amateur A teams, when they used to be put in your divisions in the later 10-man years, you'd still have to take them serious when you drew Fusion or OBR or one of the other top teams that you'd get, lock out before they turn pro. You know what I mean? Strange when they were amateur, even when they were amateur B, you know what I mean? You sleep on them and you get your butt kicked. So, I mean, but always those teams, there were certain players I looked up to. I always looked up to George Davison when I was younger. LD was another kind of role model player I looked at, and, kind of athletic and, played aggressive style and in your face a little bit more, those type of guys. But any team that got out in front of us, I mean, as far as 10-man, it was a different feeling going out on the field than it was X-Ball. When X-Ball was a little bit more sport oriented, I felt, as far as like the athleticism and stuff. So when first X-Ball came around, I always felt like I was 1 or 2 steps ahead of everybody, especially some of the older guys that came from 10-man and switched over to X-Ball. But I really strived at that format. I enjoyed it, but it was a different feeling then because it was more in your face. You're right there. Field was smaller, right off to go. Everybody's shooting. So it was a different mentality because you played those guys. The first year was like 2 25-minute halves. So you played those guys for 50 minutes long. It was a true game. It wasn't just a 10-minute game where if you got hit off the break or 2 minutes in, you didn't really get a full field to play against them and shoot against them and stuff. With the X-Ball, it was a little bit more like that. And that's one thing I think the X-Ball format lost a lot of it was they tried to squeeze everything down so much to fit everybody in that you lost the true format of what X-Ball was supposed to be like. It was supposed to be a true sport. You're supposed to have a lot of points down, a lot of points back, come back, lose some, gain some, and actually have a chance to win. Now it's like a team gets up 2-3 points. There's not many teams coming back from that with such a short amount of time. You have 1 15-minute quarter. That's like playing football just 1 quarter, or baseball a couple innings, or basketball, just 1 quarter. you can't. It's not enough time to really gauge. They just try to condense it so much to push everybody through for the time period. So it's tough.
Right.
So I like playing everybody. I like playing against Todd. I remember playing with him against him more in X-ball than I do in 10-man, and some of the other players and stuff like that too. So it was all fun. I liked it all.
Now, the last topic that I'll wrap up with is something that Adam mentioned, and I have everybody in the room played over in the UK. I believe most of you have. Now, do you share Adam's assessment of playing woods ball against the UK teams? It's fascinating to me because I haven't experienced it. If Hans, if you want to start out with this.
Just clarify, that was in the very beginning.
Yes, in the very, very beginning. Understand completely.
Yeah, I mean, it's changed now, but that was when we were first going over there.
Right. And Hans, did you experience the earlier goings overseas?
My first event was a European event was 99 Masters,
Okay.
UK Masters, which we won, so I can't complain. But we played the rest of those events, and I will definitely say, yeah, there was issues with reffing at the French events. In Portugal, I remember specifically, we were walking out to a field to play our game. Avalanche was coming off, and Chris or one of the guys walked by me, and I won't say what they said, but he was highly upset and implied that they got, screwed with a call on the field. And then we went and played on that field. And I remember very clearly, I shot two guys. I saw the balls break on them. They went behind their bunker and they didn't go off the field. And, yeah, there was certainly some favoritism at the events. I only saw it at Portugal. And we won the other one. So like I said, you can't complain too much when you win. But the French France event, we did not win. We did not win in Portugal. But I clearly did see cheating in Portugal. And like I said, and I also witnessed. I think it was Chris on Avalanche coming off the same field right before us and saying how the refs were favoring French teams, and we played a French team on that field. So yeah, I witnessed it. It did happen. I don't know how widespread it was, but
yeah, and from the live comments, people are pretty much assessing that when you travel to other countries, sometimes the home field advantage is very tipped in somebody's favor. So, how I like to wrap up the show is giving people an opportunity to thank people who might not normally get thanked. It doesn't have to be sponsors. It can be sponsors. But first I want to thank everybody who's taken time out of their days to come out and tell some of the stories. Some of you have been on some of the past shows. And if you have anything that you want to promote in the future, please feel free to reach out, because I'd like to do that. But I'll start again with Adam. Is there anyone who you'd like to thank?
Why do you keep starting with Adam?
Why do I keep starting with Adam? Should I?
Age before beauty, Todd. Hey, I just want to thank. I was having this conversation, I think, with Spesh the other day. Just trying to think of how many people actually played throughout the, almost 30 years now on the All A's or Philly or the combination of the teams. And I'm thinking it's got to be north of 250 to 300 different people. I'd love to see us try to put a list of all those guys through the Facebooks and the forums and add the kind of the years of the tournaments or whatever that you played. And, certainly all of those guys helped, make the team what it was, even if it was one event or for a couple of years. And, certainly those would be some of the guys I'd give a shout out to. And really the other ones are the guys we played against. I mean, it's good seeing some of the Ironmen and, again, some of the shot guys, the guys we just really just had these bitter rivalries with, 20 years ago. And now most of us can still get along and it's kind of cool to see, them coming back in and playing and having fun and being still around, because those are still the best times. the old stories. And like Todd said, you remember the losses more than the wins, and a lot of those involve some of those guys.
Absolutely. Todd, I'm going to follow up with you.
What was the question?
Who would you like to thank? Yeah.
No, Adam covered it. There's, Adam has supported this team. You know what I mean? He helps with the All-Americans. It's his team, and their legacy. But pretty much, just in general, all the people in paintball, from all of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even when I had a harness soft good manufacturer, and Greg Hastings had Reds, that was in that era of that time. Super cool guy.
Yep.
Awesome. And we had good relationships. Adam, the big guys in Richmond, or Dave and Rennick, and people that all compete against each other. It's a small, very small group of people for an industry.
Right.
And, everybody that's still in it and involved in it, or like Adam said, you run across 30 plus years of your life interacting with these people.
Right.
And you look forward to that. You know what I mean? When
Yep.
you're a paintball player, you look forward to the weekend. You look forward to the weekend coming. That's all you think about, to go play paintball, practice, whatever the deal is. And if you're an event player, you're thinking 2.5, every 2 months, I get to go somewhere to another city and see all these dicks that you want to play against and win,
Right.
and have a rivalry with.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you would end it with the absolute perfect accent, and that would be Tammy, correct? You want to make sure to thank Tammy.
Thank my wife, but that's a different dynamic altogether as well, because I know a lot of people in paintball. My first captain of the Florida Annihilators in 1986 ended up getting a divorce. Half of those guys got divorces because paintball, is a strain on a relationship. What do you mean you're going on the weekend? You're not doing stuff with the family or the kids or whatever. You're traveling in 2 months to a city, and you're going out on a Wednesday night, and you come home on a Sunday night late or a Monday morning, and you're right back to work. You're not necessarily in the home life.
Right.
It's a big deal, and fortunately, and sometimes unfortunately, but she's outside right now, so we get to, she got involved in paintball. She liked paintball. She played paintball, and we were able to make that all work.
Yep. So. Fantastic. Frank?
Well, I mean, pretty much the person sitting right next to me is probably the person I have to thank the most. Is, Adam and his brother Billy, giving me the opportunity to join the All-Americans early. I mean, pretty much supporting me for God knows how many years, as I, wore the All-American name on my back, and Philadelphia Americans. And without them, I don't know where I would have been in paintball. But those two guys are class act. Both of them I consider good friends, and I'd do anything for them if they ever needed it, no matter what. If they need a kidney, it's theirs.
I wouldn't take this kidney.
I don't drink. What are you talking about? My kidneys are good. I don't drink. My liver's good. What are you talking about?
Fucking 2 liters of Diet Coke.
I stopped Diet Coke a month ago. No more Diet Coke. That's it.
You sit and play video games all day. You do not. What are you talking about?
There's nothing else to do. What else am I supposed to do?
Hans, how about you?
Well, one thing I'll say that's different with when I played the game, back when you got on teams back in the late 90s and before X-Ball, a lot of the guys on the team, you had men on teams back then. You had adults,
right,
that had businesses, were successful outside of paintball. Paintball wasn't their only thing. Nowadays, I look at these teams and it's a bunch of kids, and we had role models, Adam and Billy. I mean, I remember traveling to all the international events and stuff like that. And it all went very smooth doing those things. And we did some crazy, stupid things. But if it wasn't for people like Adam and Billy, who were grown-ups and just had a ton of life experience, half us probably been dead, and just even on always too, I just, Graham Easton, John and Chris Davis. I mean, those guys they had so many years of experience, on always, Billy Adam, obviously, Daryl Trent. I mean, these guys were, just legends already at that time when I got on the team. And, they gave you so much, advice on playing, but even aside from that, you look up to these guys and just learn so much just for the people they were, so just all of them. That was the time of my life, being able to play around those guys while they were still competing and, dominant at that time and still on the team, it was awesome. So, I didn't get to play the X-Ball days, but I don't really regret it. I got to play with the people that I looked up to for years prior to getting on the team, and just learned so much from them. It was awesome.
Absolutely. Spesh?
Yeah, just like everybody said, throughout the years, there's just so many people to name. As far as for me personally and stuff, from the first day I met Adam and Billy, they've always been there and helped me out from the very start as far as with my paintball career, and even keeping me on the team in early 2000s and having a job there at the company and stuff. It was always more of a family atmosphere than it was more of a kind of a dictatorship, and they micromanage everybody and stuff, and you're expected to do what you needed to do and put your time in and make it all work together as a family. And that was something I always appreciated and respected out of them. They've always been there. So many great players and different teammates throughout the years that have just been a part of that. And everybody that you meet throughout the experience. Even when I just went to Europe for the first time and got really close to the guys on the rushers with Darren Lane and Billy Smith, and them welcoming me to come over and play with them, and the UK Masters events, and everybody over there from Twiz, picking me up from the airport and taking me to the field, and just making you feel so welcome and stuff, getting back into it and stuff after all these years. And they're just the hospitality, and us going over there when I took Frank and Jeff and we went over and played in the Masters and the 5-man event over there. They're just so welcoming, and so the hospitality is unbelievable and stuff. So, it's one big family, you can't, it's hard just to single out a handful of people because you'll miss somebody. But, for me, it would be Billy and Adam. From day one, I was Smart Parts. To the day I die, I'll always respect them and be a part of them. And if they ever needed anything, just like Frank and Todd and Hans, it's always a family, And you know who you can call if you never need anything. And, that's the type of people that you want to be associated with, even, if there's better players out there that you can pick up and stuff. You can't replace family. And that's one thing you have to kind of live by and go by in your life, who you can count on when the shit hits the fan, more or less.
Absolutely. And that's a great way to wrap it up. And, basically say, I want to again thank you guys for coming out and sharing some of these stories. There's lots more. And of course, after everybody gets a chance to see this, I'm going to be get more questions of stories. So I want to welcome you all back. If there's other casts of players that you want to bring, I'm more than willing to do that. I want to thank you for taking your time. Give you any other opportunity if there's something that you want to promote from a company standpoint, or anything like that. If we're good, we can be. Was there anyone?
I don't know. Just make sure if you're playing, shoot that shocker. It's the best gun out there, right there for mechanical.
Absolutely.
Yeah, mechanical resurgence has been a big part of everything. Adam and all the other companies that have gotten involved, it's almost like what was old is now new again, and everybody's getting involved and everybody's wanting that experience and stuff. And I think, I've watched all the podcasts so far that you've had, Brad, and, Marcus Davis made a good point, as far as, the bigger fields in the woods, and then Tim has good points with a variety of different fields and things like that. And so, everybody has their thing that they like, and I think that's what's nice about it. Everyone can kind of come to different events and play what they feel they want to pay their money for. They don't have to just go to one format and be stuck in a tic-tac-toe style play. They can go to just an all woods event if they want to, if someone's promoting and having it. They can go to a multi-field type thing like the ICC where you have mounds and hyperball and stuff. And that's what we need in the sport, you know what I mean, to make it grow again and get it going and get more people in it that used to play to come back, and also get the new transition of kids coming in and playing. And these young kids, I mean, in 2014, I went to World Cup for the first time after 7 years, and no lie, it was so different from 2007 to 2014. It was like everything that I knew and I had wasn't even available. Everything was cookie cutter. I couldn't even buy a pair of gloves at World Cup. I asked everybody. Nobody made gloves anymore. I said, what's up with this? They had those yoga mitt type things that came out of their jerseys and stuff. I was like, I ain't wearing those. So, I mean, and now everything's coming back. People are manufacturing gloves. People are manufacturing cleats. People are manufacturing camo. They're adding more styles and more variety. You know, people are tinkering with the autocockers. That's been a huge seller with all the private label with Simon and Inception and everybody else that has one with Love and his Shock Tech. I mean, everybody's getting involved and everybody's starting to make it good again. Everyone's getting that mom and pop atmosphere that paintball needs. I mean, in the beginning when it was Adam, Jerry, Bob Long, and all those other guys that were together and made the MPPL what it was because it was a close knit group of guys that cared about paintball. They didn't care about the bottom line. They didn't care about making money because they didn't make any. They gave everything back in prizes, and they had the best events. They refed it themselves, and they promoted it because they were involved. Now, all these other companies came in 2017. Nobody that owned anything actually played anymore. It was all just big corporations that worried about their numbers, and that was it. They didn't do the mom and pop thing, and that's what's good about the 10-man. You get in a lot of these smaller companies and the mom and pops to get back into it, like James Graley doing the Adrenaline line again. You know, Simon with the Inception. You got other companies and other people promoting their own stuff, and it was great. If you went back to 95, 96, 97 World Cup when everyone was under 110, there were so many people, so many manufacturers of drop forwards and rails and custom colors and this and that, and everybody was making $1. Now everything is just so cookie cutter. It's nice to see everything kind of what was old is coming back as new again, and that's nice.
I would agree. I think that's one of the most. I'm getting rattled from somebody. I'm gonna mute. Yeah, I think it was Specious. That's what I agree about, like the classic format where it's accessible to age, you know, men, women, old, young. You can go out, you can play this classic format, you can be competitive if you want. It's one of those amazing things that I think is good, great for paintball because you can do it at so many other places. So again, it's one of those things. Well, I want to again thank everyone for their time today. Yes, Todd.
Yeah, I would just like to thank Tim for the ICC, the biggest and his you know, putting it together, doing what he's done and growing and sticking with it for the ICC tournament. Tommy for, you know, he runs the NXL, right? So it's in his best interest to make that the sports side of paintball happen and work. But in his heart, he knew that 10-man and the woods is something that is so invaluable to the sport that, you know, he went to his owners and said, listen, I'm going to, this is something we should do. And they said, you know, whatever, you know, maybe they didn't even care about it. It's a stepchild deal, but he went and he did 2 events. And, but other field owners, Jerry getting in it, Kevin doing something, you know, stuff in New Jersey near Frank, or stuff in Florida, Rico. You know, I'm forgetting a lot of people.
Right.
Rob Anderson doing his deal that we went to. Yep. You know what I mean? Those kind of deals and taking those initiatives to just throw something together, and they don't even know, you know, they don't make any, there's no way they make any money. 10 teams, 20 teams, you know, for the work and the field owner and to put it together and do all these things, you know, at the end of the day, they're doing it because of their passion still for not just the paintball game, but what everybody here said about seeing all the people that you've loved and hated, in some form or fashion, and both at certain times in the game.
Yep, makes sense. Well, again, go ahead.
Can I say one thing, Brad?
Yes.
And one thing, as far as like Todd was touching base on with Tommy Cole and everything, I know a lot of teams reached out, and I heard a lot of teams kind of being upset with the whole situation that the ICPL didn't run a huge season with 5 events at the beginning of this year before all this happened and everything. But I felt that it gave a lot of opportunities for a lot of local fields, such as like Rico and Jerry Braun and other places in other cities, to actually have events then, because they knew that they weren't going to have the bombardment of the big events to compete against, so they could actually have maybe a few local top teams come, and then also get a lot new teams involved as well. So that was a good thing, I thought, in a way, that there wasn't a huge series right off the bat. Let it build up a little bit, let all the different areas of the country get their events, and then go from there.
It makes complete sense to do that and build it up regionally again, because that's where your base is going to be, is regionally, and then feed into the national system of things if you want to keep growing it. So I completely agree. Again, thank you, everyone. I would be absolutely honored to do this again. So I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. And I know that people are going to have a lot of questions about this. So again, thank you.
Thanks for having us, Brad.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you. And thank you guys for listening. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thanks, guys. All right. See ya.
All right.